Hi, I'm Alicia. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 45 years old. I grew up in a small country town in New Athens, Illinois. It was a very white, a lot more white people than there were, darker skinned people, and I was sheltered. I grew up in a very small town where everybody knew everybody, and they were very judgmental people. They were very nosy people, and I just knew I was different, and that I wanted to get out and know more about the world and different cultures. I grew up in a racist home. My parents were very racist, and I knew at a young age, at 4 years old, that I liked, different cultures. I liked darker skinned men, and my first kiss was a little black boy named Clinton at 4 years old, and so I knew that it was different to be with a different race. I knew I would be disowned. That's what they told me, but I went ahead and experimented, and I have biracial children, and I still have my family in my life. But as I was growing up, I was told that if I did, experiment with the black culture, I'd be disowned, and that they'd never have nothing to do with me. And I thought, that's fine, that's your loss. But I knew that that's what I wanted to do, and that I wanted to just get to know different, areas and different cultures of people, different. I wanted to experiment with everything, and I was wild. And growing up, we didn't have a lot to do in my town, so there was a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, a lot of weed because it was a small town. There wasn't much to do, so we backroaded half-barrel parties. We a lot of promiscuous, with men, and I just knew that I wasn't going to stay there long. But as I got away from that area, I experienced like the more hateful people, like, because in my town you could leave the door open and nobody would steal nothing, nobody go in your home. When I experimented like different areas, St. Louis and bigger areas, people were ruthless, and they, wasn't as nice. So I got my first burn, I call it a burn, because they stole my car and was driving it and piecing parts off of it while they were saying they were driving it and fixing it. They were taking parts off. So that was a shell shock for me, to leave the area, and that's where bigger drugs came in, worse drugs, and I experimented with everything I could imagine. I went from marijuana to cocaine to pills, and it just, my addiction, I guess I'm addicted to anything that makes me feel good. And so it just got worse and worse. Every drug that I tried, it would, my tolerance would get more and more. I'd have to take more, or, do more. And I just knew that I had a problem with everything. and it wasn't just a drug problem, it was a me problem. I had mental illness, and if I would have it's called co-occurring, and so you have a mental illness and you have a drug addiction, or any addiction, sex, anything, gambling. But if you get to the root of it and figure out, what's going on in your mind, and get that fixed and get on the right meds, you won't have the impulsive behaviors and things of that nature. And so, and I learned that at my first rehab, and that was at 18 years old. I went for marijuana, and people made fun of me because I was at the rehab for marijuana, and everybody else was doing the heroin and the crack and all that. But it was just a drug, and to be made fun of to go to rehab was crazy to me, because I'm just trying to better myself. Um, so yeah, I just really wanted to better myself every time. I've been to 9 rehabs, and I'll get to that later on. But I just always knew that I didn't want to live like that. I just knew I couldn't control it. And so every time that I would get myself better, I would, last for a while, and then it'd get back to, after a while I'd relapse, whatever. But that's later on in life too. I grew up in New Athens, and I stayed there till I was 20, and that's when I got pregnant with my daughter, my first daughter, and I had her. And we lived in New Athens for a while there still, and my kid's father was an alcoholic, very bad alcoholic, and he'd be normal at first, and then by the last drink of the night, he turned into this monster, and He beat me. He excuse me. He'd rape me, do all kinds of things that you just don't expect somebody that says they love you would do. So, excuse me, I'm gonna have to take a pause from that for a minute. Yeah, I get emotional from that. But I loved him, and I didn't think that he'd hurt me like that, but he did, because it was the drinking. And then the next morning, he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I love you, won't happen again, and over for 7 years. And we had 2 children then. I had my son, Kenny, in year 2000, and we weren't together, but we kind of hooked up at a bar one night, and I got pregnant with my son. And we tried to get back together then, and nothing changed. He still was an alcoholic, would spend all our money on drinking, and never, did what he was supposed to with the money, and never got any better. Never went to no treatment, never did anything to change it. He just thought he was going to continue treating me like he was, and it wasn't going to happen. So I left him, and that was the biggest, scariest decision of my life, because I had these 2 kids to take care of, and I was on my own, and I raised them by myself. But that's the scariest thing in the world, is to have 2 people that you're responsible for, that you're not even grown enough. I was 20 years old, and I went through a lot of trials and tribulations. If I had to sacrifice, what I was going to eat so they could eat. It's really emotional for me to talk like that, because now my kids are grown and have their own kids, so I don't want them to suffer like that. Excuse me. Please pause every minute. Sorry. I just had my first grandbaby the other day, 2 months ago now. And it's weird seeing your kids have their own kids, and the way they treat them, and are with them. I don't want my neighbor to hear. Let's take a break for a minute. Yep, pause it for a minute. I don't want my neighbor to hear it. You got to pause? Okay. Sorry. Hi, Miss Nancy. What you doing? We're doing an interview. I'm doing an interview. I'm doing an interview. She is. Oh, she's so funny. I love her. She's a good lady. Yeah, it's hard for me to talk like that about my kids. Give me 1 second. Would you like a bottle of water? Sure. Sure, are you taking this? Okay. Sorry, I had to gather myself for a minute. The reason why I get so emotional with that is because, later on in my life, the drugs took a big part of me, and I didn't abandon my kids, but I knew that if they would have a stable environment, maybe they wouldn't be, molested or neglected, or wouldn't have the things that they deserved. And so they stayed with their dad and their grandma. And that was the biggest sacrifice I ever done in my life. And it was hard, but I loved them that much. I didn't want them to drag them along with me. And so they hold it against me sometimes, because they think I I abandoned them because I didn't love them, but I loved them that much that I didn't want them to go through what I was going through. And my son has a child, and now he understands, because it was so much love that I had for him that I didn't want to take him down that road. Because when you're living that life, people don't care about their kids, and they leave them with Tom, Dick, and Harry, and they're doing things to your kids you don't even know about, and I wasn't gonna let that happen to my babies. So I feel like I sacrificed. I suffered for their well-being. So with that being said, I continued in my addiction, in and out of rehab. I've been in 9 rehabs and completed all of them. Never once court mandated. It was all self. I went in there by myself because I wanted help. And you got to make the phone calls. You got to get on the horn and blow them up, and it's called it. You got to put in effort. So it shows determination, and I completed all of them except one. I got kicked out of one for an altercation with a girl because I had a little bit of an attitude for being there. I was mad that I was there again for the 8th time. So yeah, I got in a fight and got kicked out. But I made it through every one of them successfully and got a certificate for it, and a lot of knowledge learned from rehabs and stuff. But it still hasn't kept me clean. I mean, I have a whole box full of tools, but I don't put them to use because it's so hard to do the right thing. Doing the right thing ain't always easy, but it's easier just to get high and to get numb and forget about all that stuff, because it's temporarily gone. But it's not gone, it's just buried deep down, and it surfaces during different times and different things, and it's terrible. It's the devilish thing in the world. Like I just call it the devil. I'm a child of God. I'm a very big believer. Because if I wasn't, I wouldn't be here today, because I know God saved me from a lot of things. And you can't tell me that He's not real, because the things I've been through, the places I've been, where I put myself, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Him. And so I give all the glory to God, and I thank Him daily for letting me breathe another day and have an opportunity to share my testimony, because it gets way worse. It's been, that's just the beginning of the addiction. That's when it was fun still. And, you enjoy to get high because it makes you feel different than what you feel in your own skin. And I didn't feel good in my own skin. And that was due to things that happened to me in my early childhood and stuff that I don't get into that, because that's here nor there. But there was a reason why I kept wanting to numb who I was and not be in that state of mind. I wanted to be somewhere different because I wasn't happy with me. And I feel like that it's a cop-out and it's an excuse, but people do it because they don't want to deal with those things. And it's hard to do that. You got to take accountability, and you have to work hard on how you're going to overcome it, and that it takes work. And it's easier just to get high. And it's sad to say, but it's true. And like everything, I had a great childhood. My mom and dad were married 38 years. My dad was a Shriner, and he's the master mason now. And my mom was an Eastern Star, and she worked at a bank, and they were the perfect family, I thought. And never seen them fight a day in my life ever. I came from a really good home. I had everything I needed, a house, never struggled I never had been hungry or nothing, They say that people that are in addiction, they do it to cover up pain and stuff, but it wasn't that. I didn't have pain, I just had me. And I seem to take me everywhere I go. I can't leave me behind. So I feel like people that say they get high for to cover up pain, that may be their choice, and that's them. But for me, I did it because I wanted to feel different, just different, period. It didn't matter how or what or why, I just didn't like me. And and so that's when, like share this message so people can know that it's okay to be you, you know, and if you're not perfect, it's okay, because nobody's perfect, and if you don't feel right about something, you have to change it. And if it's a chemical or a drink or something, it may change you for momentarily, but when you wake up, you're still that person. And you still got that issue to deal with, and you can either waste some more money on that drug and keep numbing it, or you can just try to fix it, and it might be easier to fix in the long run. But like once I got a little bit older, in my 20s, I bartended. Perfect job for my addiction. I could drink, I could get paid, and I was making money, and I was at work, so I wasn't doing wrong. Um, which was that was the devil telling me that, because it was a shitty job for me to do. Because along with drinking comes the people around that have the drugs, and you're at work. I spent all my tip money in the poker machine, and then you know I never was a one night stand kind of girl. I'd close the bar down and go home by myself because I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I didn't want to give anybody that attention, or that, because I was selfish. That we are selfish people, selfish creatures, and it was all about me and what I wanted to do. And I, I struggled with the bartending stuff because it was easy, quick money, and I made a lot of money, a lot of tips, and it was fast and it was fun. And I mean, it's cool for a 20-year-old to do that. Don't get me wrong, waitress and shit like that, but I could have used that money towards college, and things of that nature, investing in, real estate or something. I went through thousands of dollars just on nothing to show, and that's why today I beat myself up, because I could be way better off than I am. But I have a home, I have a roof, I have my health barely, but I'm here. But as I got older, I ended up marrying my husband. He was a good man. I was 20, I'd have to say 23, 24 when I married him. But I married him because I got pregnant, and he had good insurance. And so it was a loveless marriage for me, not for him. He loved me dearly. And I had a lot of mental illness, and so I was probably uneasy, wasn't very easily to get along with during our marriage. And I kind of I definitely feel bad for the man, because I put him through hell, I'm sure. But he went to school to try to fix me, and he has his doctorate in mental health and stuff, because he thought maybe he could, try to fix me, and I told him, you worry about you, whatever. But it was the point that he was trying to do whatever he could to save me, and there wasn't nothing he could do for me. But I spent 13 years with him, and he was a mental abuser, emotional. Told me I'd never be able to do it on my own without him. Made me feel like this big, And he happened to be my supplier too. He dealt a little bit of cocaine on the side, and so when we'd argue, he'd dangle a half gram of coke and say, if you come home, we can talk. So hell yeah, I'm on my way home. And so I'd get that, and he'd be like, don't ask for no more. And anybody that knows cocaine, you were gonna do some more, or ask for some more. Hour later, I'm bugging the shit out of him for hours and hours until he gave me some more. And so needless to say, that was a big strain on our marriage, and I hated him for that. I despised him for keeping me 8 years on a substance just to keep me around, because I didn't love him. He could look at me and see I was snarling at him, because I had no respect for him for keeping me in that situation for his selfish reasons. And I got pregnant with my daughter, had her, raised her till she was 3, and I was so sick of being unhappy and not in a marriage that I wanted to be in. Obviously you're not in love, so there's nothing good about it, and you're wasting all this time. I wasted 13 years on something that I didn't even want to be in. So I finally left, and I took my daughter with me, And this is after our doors got kicked in. An informant came and did 2 undercover buys, and he got 3 Class X felonies: selling within a school district, attempt to distribute and deliver, and I said selling within a school district. Okay, and criminal violence, because he was a biker in a Hells Angels organization, so they put him together. It was going to be like a RICO. So he was gone forever. If he would have got convicted, he'd have been over with. And so I left with my daughter during the trial, and I went to an abuse shelter, and I did everything I could to stay away. And I stuck by him, like, as a friend throughout the trial and stuff. And by the grace of God, I mean, I know it's bad, but at that time in St. Clair County, they had the judge that OD'd, and then they had the state's attorney that supplied the drugs. So he got out of his charges by that, because they were on that case. And so he didn't get no time. He wasn't convicted, and all that went away. And so here's a narcissistic drug dealer that got away with it, and now he has all control, and he takes me to court for my daughter that I took with me to get away from his abusive ass, and he used it against me and said I was an unfit mom, which I've never gotten high around my kids, never seen me any different than what they see me every day. And so I was okay to take care of her for 3 years, but when I didn't want to be with him, then I was unfit. So I left that courtroom that day because I didn't have money for a lawyer. He did. And I left with an empty stroller, and he got full custody, and I got 2 hours a week visitation, and he had to supervise it. So he's the only person on my purge list to this day. I would never kill anybody, but if I could and get away with it, he'd be one. And I'm joking. But no, I really have a lot of resentment for that, because I mean, why would somebody do that to somebody knowing they're a great mom? I'm a terrific mother. I would do anything for my kids, but I was trying to get him away from the abuse, because he didn't abuse my daughter, but he abused the mother. That, it was like, why would he want her to be in that environment? I was doing fine with her. I wasn't neglecting her, and I was in a safe house, in a shelter. So I have a lot of resentment for that. So that's another thing I said that for, is for women that do want to leave their abuser, go hard and stick to it, because he won that. He shouldn't have, but God doesn't like ugly, and I feel like it could have ended the way it was supposed to. In my case, didn't, which is okay. Everything happens for a reason, but I got dry mouth. I'm sorry. Can you pause it a moment? I'm all over the place with this, huh? You're still taping, aren't you? Are you gonna edit it? Yeah, I'm not very far into my life, though. I'm still way, way early. Yeah, so, okay. Okay, this is the hardest thing I gotta talk about. I can't do this without crying every time. The day that I went to court and I left with an empty stroller, I sat on the courthouse bench right in St. Clair County for like 4 hours, and I did not move. I had an empty stroller, and I had to go back to this shelter with all these families that had some kids there. I didn't have my kid. And my mom was sick at that time, dying of cancer. And so, like, that was the beginning of my hell. And it just got worse and worse every day after that. She died another month later. And she was diagnosed with cancer in January. And August 29th, she passed away. They said she had a year to live, and she died 6 months later. So, at 54 years old, and I was 34. So that shit was so hard on me. And I'll never forget, like, on her deathbed, she asked me if I could just get it together for her. Just make sure she wanted to know I'd be okay. And I told her I'd be okay. She knew I'd be okay because I can take care of me, but she had to take like all these pain pills and stuff, and I loved them. She hated them. She's like, I don't know how you take these, and I'm like, I like them. She's like, I don't like the way they make me feel. I don't like this. She started crying, and I felt so bad because I like loved them. I go, let me have them. And a month before she died, they took her to Florida because that's her favorite place to go. And they go to Shell Island in Navarre Beach, Florida, and my dad carried her to the beach, and put her, in a little chair, and she'd get her shells. And we got a lot of pictures of her doing that. And, every time we go to Florida, she'd bring home like a little bucket of shells, and we made a shell garden out in our yard. And she said, when I die, you guys got to take care of my garden for me. And so, because every vacation we bring home just a little piece of it, and then when she passed, we spread her ashes out there and on the beach. So she'd always be in the ocean and on the beach. So, I was 34. It was August 29th, 2012. I'm sorry, she died in 2010. But by 2012, I was a full-blown heroin addict because I had I kind of skipped it, but I skipped a little. I started pain pills because of a hand surgery I had, and that was like in maybe 33 years old. But within a year, I was taking 40 pain pills a day, and that was an astronomically large amount. But I couldn't get enough. They'd give me energy, and I had a 3-story big, beautiful home, so to cook, clean, keep dinner on the table, for my big, burly husband. I worked my ass off in that house, and it was spotless. You could eat off my floors. But I was eating a lot of pain pills, and it got to be very expensive because doctors only give you so many. So I started buying them on the street. That shit adds up. They're $8 a pill, and I'm eating 40 a day. That wasn't good. So we're fighting about money. I'm stealing from him now because I figure we're married. That's half my money. I'm taking half of it too. So, and then he tried to rational me with the coke, and you can only do a half gram. Well, I'd be like, yeah, okay, shut up. I knew what I was going to ask for later, but I just wanted to get the first one just to get me started. But I ended up robbing him one day on my birthday. I took the whole shit. I found it, and I was like, ha, because he wouldn't give me no more than a day. It's my birthday. I'm like, man, I'm going out. It's my birthday. And I found the whole stash, and I took that whole shit, all the money, all the shit. And he called my best friend Tish and was like, where's she at? And I was on my way to her. She's like, I don't know why. What's going on? And he told her she robbed me. Well, when I got there, she was excited too because she liked to do it. So we went on a 3-day bender, and I wasn't going home till it was gone. It was my birthday weekend, and I knew I was in big trouble, mister, when I got home. So we kicked it all weekend. And every time I'd call home, I'd be like, hey, and I could tell by the tone of his voice how he was going to act. And I'd say, oh, you're not ready yet, and I'd hang up. So by the 3rd day when I call, he was crying, just come home, we need to talk. I said, okay, you're ready. So I went home and talked to him, and I told him, I'm like, you can't put a cap on nobody's, stuff. If you let me do it once, you can't stop me, like, you can't let me do the whole thing, but you gotta at least give me the decency of being. I'm not gonna not ask. That's just part of the deal. We have no control over it. It's just a sickness, and it's sick. We don't care who we hurt, what we do to get it. There's things I've done that I would never tell nobody, but I've done it. If the worst you could think, I've done it. It's a sad place to be, and I just want people to know that I come from a good family, good background, raised with morals, values. It didn't matter, addiction it doesn't discriminate. It will get whoever you want, at once. and it's relentless. It don't have a name, it don't have a face, any race, color, whatever. If you have a weakness to something, it's gonna find it. And I feel like that's why I call it the devil, because they say bad spirits prey on people with vulnerability, and it does. It preys on your vulnerability, and it makes you feel better at that time. And at first, it's fun because you got the euphoria, and people feel like you know, they can do this. I can handle this shit. I got this. But addicts, we don't have that control. We have a disease of the brain, and we may maintain for a while, but it gets out of control. And it may not just be because of the drug, it's impulsiveness and shopping or whatever. That's part of a relapse too. Like I have a pattern I go through. I'll be good for a while, and then you can tell by I'll go to the gambling boat, blow $200 that I ain't got, and that's me starting to feed my addiction again, and it's a vicious cycle. And I hate who I have become and what it's done, but I don't, because it's made me who I am. And one day I'm going to get it together and be able to help others, but I feel like it's part of my journey that I had to go through all that, so I have this strong foundation so I can help others, like when I get there, because I'm going to be the bomb-ass counselor. I swear to you. Because I won't forget my first few rehabs, I fell in love with my counselors. Not in love sexually, but they helped me through hard times, and that's what we're there for. And the one counselor that didn't have a drug background, was just out of a textbook. She didn't do nothing for me because she could not relate. She did not know nothing. And I looked at her like, how you gonna tell me anything if you ain't never lived it? Because you will never know until you live the day in our shoe. Because it is unreal. We are the strongest people in the world, resilient and creative. We'll hustle. We will hustle up something out of nothing just because you got to. You don't have nothing but yourself. So it's been 12 or 13 years since I lost my mom, and I went back and forth with the pain pills. It started, went to heroin because it's cheaper. Can't find that no more, so now it's fentanyl, and it's dropping people like flies. I've lost 25 friends in the last 5 years, I think. That's just a guess. Not even close to what I really lost, but I've lost 25 people that I grew up with, that I rode the bus with every day. People that their moms don't get to hug them no more because of this one time they wanted to try something, and they didn't never get to see their family again, And here I am, why me? Why am I still here? Because I got a damn big tolerance like you wouldn't believe. I can put a man down, and it's not bragging, it's sad. But I'm still here, and I feel like it's for a reason, I'm here to spread a message of something, because after about 10 years of addiction, I got real sick, and I barely could walk one day, and I just couldn't get out of bed, and my shoulder kept hurting, and I'm like, man, something's wrong, and I couldn't breathe, and I laid there for like 2 days, and I just kept putting off going to the hospital. And I finally went, and I was septic with MRSA from a dirty needle, and it gave me MRSA is like an infection, bacteria in your body, and if it goes septic in your blood, it'll kill you dead. And when I got to the hospital, I fell out. I had like 106 fever, and they told my family that I wouldn't make it through the night. And so they called in the priest, they called my kids in, they called my dad. He was in Florida. Because every year he goes to Florida and stays on the same beach where my mom's at. Because he lives in a camper, travels all over the world. But he had to come home from Florida to say goodbye to his little girl, And I was in a coma 5 days, and I made it through that night. But I had I had sepsis or MRSA sepsis. I had endocarditis, which is a bacteria in your heart. It's vegetation that grows on it from the bacteria. It sticks to your heart valve, and it ate away my heart valve. So I was supposed to have open heart surgery to replace the heart valve, and I had double pneumonia too, and and my doctor said, "You is one sick girl." He said, "I don't know how you're here," he said, "but he said you're a medical phenomenon." I made it through it though. After 3 months in SLU Hospital on antibiotics, IV, um, they sent me to a nursing home for 3 months. So 6 months out of my life, I sat in a hospital. And if anybody knows what a hospital's like, 6 months in one is it's excruciating. I went nearly mentally nuts, but I made it through it, and um, I had a halo on my head. They put 4 screws in my head. I had this metal rack that I carried around 10 weeks, which is hell on earth. And you can't lay down, like when you lay down, your head don't hit the pillow, so you're laying there like it's not comfortable. You want to saw your own head off. It's so bad. But and I guess I'll backtrack. I gave birth to my son, my last son, my little little hellion. He's 5 now, but he his first 6 months I never got to hold him or anything because I was in the hospital, because I gave birth to him, and he went into I used the whole pregnancy too because I could not stop. It had that big a hold on me. The doctor said if you stop, the baby will die. So they weaned me off of it weaned him off of it when I gave birth, and he was in Cardinal Glen Children's Hospital until he could go home, and he went home to a foster family, and this wonderful family took him in, and they took care of him while I was there. But 6 months after he was there, his dad and grandma, went and got him, and they went through all the paperwork to get him, and he's still with them, the grandparents. And but I never got to be in my son's life like that as a baby. I missed out on so much because of being hospitalized. Like, that's torture. You're in there, you can't see your kid or hold them or play with them. And I'm 40 years old, well, close to 40 at that time. And I felt so shitty. I pull up at a nursing home at 40. I start crying, like, why am I in here with these 90-year-old people, Like, it was a big, I'm soul searching, like, who the fuck are you and why are you here? And I laid in bed and cried that night, like, man, this ain't me. What the fuck are you doing? And these people are crying for their families because nobody comes to see them. And I mean, it was just a real learning experience because I thought my kids won't ever come see me because of what I put them through. I'm gonna be laying here crying for my family too. And it's just like, wow, man, like, things that we do to ourselves and self-inflict is just insane because you don't gotta live like that. We choose to, but we don't have to. You don't have to. And if you have any, like I said, I've been through 9 rehabs. If you have any strength left in you, if you can breathe, fight. Keep fighting, and do whatever you gotta do to get well, because I'm here for a reason. Because if I didn't die all them times that I was meant to die, they read me the last rites, prayed over me, said I wouldn't make it through the night. My kids were bawling over my body, and I'm here for a reason. And so, like, I feel like I got a chance, and I hope this reaches somebody, because if you have any life left in your breath, fight for your health, your family, and your kids, and to get off of it, because you don't have to do it.
If you could talk to a young Alicia, knowing what you know now, what would you tell her if you could go back in time?
You don't have to be cool. People don't care. I mean, they may care. You may want to be cool at school, but I did it more for popularity at first, and I was like, yeah, I'll try some, and you don't have to, because at the end of the day, they don't give a shit When you're laying in the hospital bed, not one person came to see me. Not one of my drug friends. Not one person put money on my books when I went to jail. Not one person went and seen my kids while I was there, made sure they were all right, you know. They don't care about you. You, your family, your children, them, that's who cares. Who cares what people think? Or you don't gotta please nobody but you. And just don't do it. I mean, even if you do it, don't make it a problem, you know. But I should just not. Don't do it because you don't got to.
In closing, Miss Alicia, if you want to say anything to anybody who might be looking for you, worried about you, wondering if you're okay, now's the time to say it in closing.
I don't think anybody's looking for me. You don't, because everybody I have knows I'm alive and stuff. But I don't talk to my sister or brothers or nothing like that because they disowned me because they were tired of seeing me hurt myself. But you're not supposed to give up on family, you know? You're supposed to help them through the hard. Because I never robbed them. I never stole no money from them. I hurt myself. But, I mean, family's supposed to stick through you and help you, you know? Like, and y'all gave up on me. So, like, maybe you could have saved me from some of that turmoil if you'd have just had somebody's back, you know? But I made it without you. And I'm still going to make it. And that's it.
We appreciate you sitting down telling your story, Miss Alicia. Thank you so much.